Today I have my co-lead April with me, and the topic that I wanted to bring up to you, April, is volunteering at school. There's so many volunteer opportunities, but it's kind of hard as a working mom to get involved in some of those. So during the time that your kids have been in school, how have you found ways to support them and support the school activities?
Well, you're right. There's so many opportunities. It's almost overwhelming because the schools these days need help. The teachers don't often have an assistant, and there may be field trips or room projects or whatnot. So if you are working, obviously need to figure out whether or not you have the flexibility first and the permission to either flex or to leave and then come back. So you need to work that out with your manager or your HR. But from my standpoint, I usually try to pick 2 to 3 things per grade year that interest me, as well as gives an insight or window into my child's life at school. And so oftentimes I volunteer for a field trip that I know is scheduled ahead of time, and so I can work that out with my manager and my work plan. And so that allows me one day, sometimes it's a full day, sometimes it's a half day, so I can actually build that into my calendar. And also that gives me a very wide lens to see what the other children are doing, what they're talking about, how they're interacting, and seeing my child, in that swirl of educational opportunity as well as social interaction. And then if I can't go on a field trip, for instance, I usually ask the teacher, how else can I help? So sometimes they need supplies, so I donate. If I can't donate my time, I donate materials. Another thing is to offer to actually present to the school or the children about what you do, because oftentimes they're just looking for people who have the time to give. And again, you can plan that well in advance to make sure that it works with your work or leave, and you can present whatever you're doing, and that could be, whether it's project management or technical writing, or how to time manage. I mean, there are lots of things that people do every day in their job that kids just don't understand. So that's still an enlightenment for them.
Is there anything that you changed as your kids got older, like going from elementary school to middle school to high school?
So that's a good point. So what I didn't realize as a parent, because again, first-time parents are always first-time parents as you move through those age groups, right? So if you can volunteer just even a couple times a year, do it early, because as they do grow up and grow older and go through the middle school system, the high school system, they don't want you there, or the teachers don't want you there. So it depends on the school and the teacher, or the situation of what the children are in terms of the field trips, etc. But I found that once they hit middle school, those opportunities greatly decreased, and once they hit high school, I was only invited once out of the 4 years to where they needed parents to help with a field trip. And so that was kind of an eye-opener. So I'm really glad that I did volunteer when I could, when the children were smaller, because again, they're only young once, and they grow up. So engage when you can, and also if you can't, just be interactive and finding out what they did do, for instance, on a field trip if you can't go. So
great. Well, thank you for the tips. Please let us know in the comments below any tips that you have, or ways that you've found to get involved at your kids' school while working.